The mountain wind carried death on its breath tonight. Lyra pressed herself deeper into the narrow crevice between two boulders, her omega scent glands burning with the suppressants she'd stolen before fleeing. 3 days since the rejection ceremony. 3 days since Alpha Garrett had denounced her before the entire Silvercrest pack, declaring her wolfless blood unworthy of his beta status. Damaged goods, he'd called her. What use is an omega who can't shift? Now she waited, counting heartbeats as the howls grew closer. Not Silvercrest wolves, these voices held something ancient, wild. Mountain rogues, perhaps. Or worse. Her makeshift shelter, a shallow cave behind a frozen waterfall, lay another mile up the treacherous path. But exhaustion weighted her limbs like stones. The thin mountain air made her lungs burn with each breath. A sound made her freeze. Not a howl this time, but something else. Soft, desperate whimpering echoing off the canyon walls below. Keep moving. Her survival instinct screamed. You have nothing left to give. The whimpering came again, weaker. Lyra peered over the ledge. 30 feet down, on an outcropping no wider than her arm span, a wolf cub lay twisted at an unnatural angle. Its white fur was stained crimson, one leg clearly broken. Too young to climb, too injured to howl properly. Stars above, she whispered. The cub couldn't be more than 8 weeks old. At this altitude, in these temperatures, it would be dead within the hour. She should leave it. She had no rope, no climbing gear. The rocky face was slick with ice. One slip meant certain death. And for what? A rogue's abandoned offspring? The cub's amber gaze found hers across the distance. Instead of cowering, it tried to drag itself closer to her, leaving a small trail of blood on the stone. Foolish, stubborn little thing, Lyra muttered, already looking for handholds. The descent was madness. Her fingers went numb within seconds. Twice, loose rocks gave way beneath her. Feet, sending debris into the void. Her shoulders screamed as she wedged herself between outcroppings, inching downward. The ledge groaned under her weight as she landed. The cub watched her approach with those impossible eyes, too intelligent, too aware for something so young. Easy, little star, she whispered, using the omega tone that should soothe any wolf. The cub went limp, submissive, a soft keen escaping its throat. It recognized what she was, an omega, a nurturer even through the suppressants. She examined the leg quickly, broken, but cleanly. The blood came from claw marks across its ribs. Not abandoned, something had fought to defend this pup and lost. Getting back up proved nearly impossible. With the cub cradled against her chest, she could only use one arm to climb. Her grip failed twice, saved only by desperate wedging of her body between rocks. When she finally hauled herself over the edge, her palms were shredded, trembling with exhaustion. That's when she smelled it. Alpha. Not just any alpha. The scent hit her like a physical force. Power unlike anything she'd encountered. Ancient. Royal. It saturated the air, coming from everywhere and nowhere at once. The cub squirmed, trying to howl despite its injuries. From the shadows between peaks, eyes emerged. Dozens of them, reflecting silver in moonlight. Massive wolves formed a perfect circle around her. They moved like smoke, silent despite their size. These weren't rogues. The synchronized movement, the practiced formation, this was an elite guard unit. The temperature dropped 20 degrees. He emerged from shadow itself, a wolf so large her mind refused to process it properly. Midnight black fur seemed to absorb light. Power radiated from him in waves that made her dormant wolf. The wolf, everyone said, didn't exist, stir for the first time in her 21 years. The Alpha King. Here, in these forsaken mountains. The massive wolf's nostrils flared. His head snapped toward her with predatory focus, and she understood with terrible clarity he'd scented her. Not just her presence, but her. The omega pheromones, the suppressants, couldn't quite hide. The cub cried out again, and the massive wolf's attention shifted. His entire body went rigid. Then he spoke directly into her mind, his voice like distant thunder. You saved my air. Lyra woke to warmth she hadn't felt in days. Soft furs beneath her instead of stone. The crackling of a proper fire. Pine and cedar scented the air from actual walls. For a moment, she let herself drift in the impossible comfort. The memories crashed back. The massive black wolf. The mental voice. The word air. She bolted upright, immediately regretting it as her vision swam. Her shredded palms were wrapped in clean bandages that smelled of calendula and wolfsbane. "Careful," a young female voice said. "The healing salve makes humans dizzy." Humans, not wolves, because Lyra couldn't shift. A girl, perhaps 16, sat beside an elaborate stone fireplace. Her silver hair and amber gaze marked her as Black Moon bloodline. "I'm Naya," the girl said. "Pack Healer's apprentice. His Majesty ordered me to tend you." "The Alpha King," Lyra repeated hoarsely. "Yes, you're in the Moonspire Fortress." Moonspire. Every wolf knew the name, but few knew its location. Hidden in the highest peaks, accessible only to those the mountain allowed to find it. "The cub," Lyra said suddenly. "Is it? Prince Ash is recovering." Naya's expression softened. "Thanks to you. His leg will heal cleanly." "Prince." She'd saved royalty without knowing it. "I should go," Lyra said, trying to stand. The room tilted. "You can't leave. His Majesty's orders." The door opened without warning. The scent hit her first, that same overwhelming alpha presence, but contained in human form. Every Omega instinct screamed at her to submit. She forced her eyes up and forgot how to breathe. Kieran Blackmoon stood in the doorway, and he was nothing like the presential Anaclyn Sabri, savage king of rumors. Tall, easily 6.5 feet with harsh beauty that belonged in old paintings. Sharp cheekbones, a jaw that could cut glass. His black hair fell past his shoulders, a single braid at his temple holding an alpha's crimson bead. But it was his scent that destroyed her composure. Pine and winter storms and something uniquely him that made her dormant wolf writhe. "Leave us," he commanded Naya. They stared at each other across the room. Lyra refused to lower her eyes, even as every instinct demanded submission. "You're suppressing your scent," he said finally. "I had reasons." The Silvercrest Omega who was rejected 3 days ago. Something flickered in his expression. "Alpha Garrett claimed you were defective, wolfless." Heat flooded her cheeks. "Then you understand why I left. I understand why you think you left." He moved closer, each step deliberate. "What I don't understand is why a supposedly wolfless Omega smells like—" He stopped just out of reach, nostrils flaring. "Like what?" His eyes flashed. "Like you belong to me." The words hung between them, impossible and absolute. "That's not— Do you know what happens when an alpha scents their true mate?" His voice dropped dangerously. "The wolf knows immediately, irrevocably. I'm not your— You are." He circled her slowly. "My wolf recognized you before I saw you, before you saved my nephew." "Nephew, not son. Even if that's true, I'm rejected goods. Hardly fitting for a king's." She gasped, as he suddenly pressed his face to her neck, inhaling deeply where her scent glands pulsed. His breath on her skin made her knees weak. "Liar," he whispered against her throat. "I can feel her. Your wolf. Trapped, suppressed, but fighting. Someone bound her. Why? Stop." She pushed against his chest, and surprisingly, he stepped back. "I know you risked your life for a pup that wasn't yours," he said, holding her gaze. "I know your scent is driving my wolf mad with the need to claim you. And I know you're a king who could have any Omega." The growl that rumbled from his chest cut her off. In an instant, he'd backed her against the wall, hands braced on either side of her head. "Never," he snarled. "Call yourself broken again." This close, his scent overwhelmed her. Her Omega instincts roared to life, and she felt herself beginning to release pheromones in response. His pupils dilated. "Moonflowers," he breathed. "You smell like moonflowers and snow." A knock shattered the moment. "Enter," he commanded, stepping back. A massive man with scarred hands entered. "Majesty, we have a problem. Silvercrest wolves at the borders. They're demanding we return their runaway Omega." Kieran's expression went lethal. "She's not theirs anymore. They claim she stole from them. Alpha Garrett is invoking pack law. The rejection isn't official until the next moon. 4 days away. Then Silvercrest is about to learn what happens when they try to reclaim what's under my protection," Kieran said softly. He strode to the door. "Double the border guard. Zane, assign guards to her." "You're keeping me prisoner?" Lyra demanded. "I'm keeping you safe." His expression softened fractionally. "You saved Ash. That alone earned you sanctuary. He left, but his scent lingered like an unspoken claim. The white wolf pup Prince Ash had attached himself to Lyra like a shadow. 3 days had passed since her arrival. The fortress itself seemed alive. Stairs that led up somehow brought you down. But Ash knew every secret path. "You know I can't understand you in that form," Lyra said, as Ash stood before a massive door, tail wagging. The pup huffed, then shifted. Bones cracked and reshaped until a small boy stood before her, naked and unashamed. His white hair fell in eyes exactly like his uncle's. "You can understand me now," Ash said proudly. "Uncle Kieran says I'm the youngest shifter in 3 generations." Lyra quickly wrapped him in her cloak. "Your leg hurts less as wolf." He grabbed her hand. "Come, I want to show you the sky chamber." The domed ceiling was pure crystal, offering an unobstructed view of the heavens. "This is where Uncle teaches me," Ash said. "But you smell nicer." "I smell like an Omega. You smell like pack, like family." Her throat tightened. "Ash, Majesty requests your presence," Zane interrupted. Ash immediately shifted back, growling at the beta. "Little Prince," Zane said dryly, "your uncle needs to speak with the lady alone." Zane led her to massive black doors. "Fair warning, the king's wolf has been difficult since you arrived." The doors opened to reveal a training room. Kieran stood shirtless in the center, body gleaming with sweat. Scars crisscrossed his chest, old ones from alpha challenges. "Leave us," he commanded. When alone, he studied her. "You've been hiding from me. I've been recovering. You've been all over my fortress. Ash's scent is all over you." Something in his tone made her realize he was jealous. Of a 6-year-old. "He's teaching me about Moonspire. I could teach you." The words came out rough, almost vulnerable. "Could you? Or would you just order me around? You think I'm some tyrant? I think you're used to getting everything you want without asking. Your scent says you want me too. Scent is biological. It doesn't mean consent." He went very still. "You think I would force you? I think you're an alpha king who found his supposed mate and expects her to fall at his feet." His growl should have terrified her. Instead, it made her dormant wolf strain against its bindings. "You know nothing about me. Then teach me, not as king to subject, as man to woman." Surprisingly, his lips curved in approval. "All right." He selected 2 practice swords. "We'll start here. I don't know swordplay. Your body knows how to fight. Someone taught you to survive before they taught you to submit." She took the sword, and he was right. The weight felt familiar. His hands covered hers, adjusting her grip. His chest pressed against her back. "Wider stance. Power comes from here," he murmured, hand sliding to her waist. They moved through forms slowly. Each correction brought his hands to her body. Each successful movement earned a rumbled approval that made her Omega instincts preen. "You're a natural," he said after an hour. "I had a patient teacher." He circled her again. "When did the binding start?" "I don't know what you mean." "Someone put a suppression binding on your wolf. It's old, powerful, but cracking." His fingers ghosted over her spine. "What happens when you're afraid? Does your skin burn?" "Yes. All of it, yes. Let me help you." "Why do you care?" "Because when I sent you, my wolf goes quiet for the first time since my brother died." The admission hung raw between them. "I don't know how to be what you need," she admitted. "Be yourself. Stay until the moon ceremony. Let me protect you from Garrett." "And after?" "After, you choose." A howl interrupted, urgent, demanding. Kieran's head snapped toward it. "Border Patrol. Silvercrest." Another howl, cut short. "They're attacking. If this is about me, I won't hide. Stay close to me." They burst into the courtyard to find chaos. 30 Silvercrest wolves faced off against Kieran's guard. At their head stood Alpha Garrett. "There's my runaway bitch," Garrett snarled. Kieran shifted instantly, positioning himself between them. "She's mine by law," Garrett shouted. That's when Lyra smelled its silver weapons, wolfsbane. This wasn't retrieval. This was assassination. Her skin began to burn, bones screaming as something ancient shattered the binding that had held it for 21 years. She wasn't wolfless. She was something else entirely. And as her true nature broke free, every wolf dropped to their bellies in submission, except Kieran, who stood taller, his wolfish stare gleaming with triumph. Hello, little moon, his voice echoed in her mind. Welcome home. Every wolf remained prostrated except Kieran and Garrett, who fought against the compulsion. What are you? Garrett gasped. She didn't know, but the power singing in her blood whispered, Moonblessed. She's under my protection, Kieran said, having shifted back. That thing isn't natural. That's why her parents bound her. You knew, Lyra breathed. When you rejected me, you knew the binding was breaking. Your father paid me. Said if I rejected you publicly, the emotional trauma would keep the binding stable. My father's dead. Your father's very much alive, little moon. An elderly woman emerged, leaning on a staff carved with moon phases. Her eyes were exactly like Lyra's silver with gold rings. Every wolf bowed. This was Morrigan Nightwhisper, the Oracle of the Northern Territories. Grandmother, Morrigan said, your father faked his death. Coward that he is. What am I? The first moon-blessed Omega born in 300 years. A bridge between sky and earth. The natural mate to the strongest alpha of the age. She glanced at Kieran. That's why you suppressed her. Kieran growled at Garrett. A moon-blessed Omega's heat would call to every unmated alpha for miles. Garrett pulled a silver blade. Then I'll end this. Silver light erupted from Lyra's palm, striking Garrett's chest. He flew backward 20 feet, slamming into the wall. Your first heat approaches, Morrigan said. 3 nights hence. Every unmated alpha will feel the call unless you're claimed. She's already chosen me, Kieran said. Has she? The old laws are clear she must choose freely, or the bond will kill you both. Morrigan turned to the assembled wolves. Silvercrest violated sanctuary law. This means war, unless they forfeit all claim to Lyra. We forfeit, Garrett wheezed. Then leave. Any alpha who approaches before the moon ceremony will be considered an enemy. After Silvercrest fled, Morrigan said, Come. We have little time to teach you. Control. The Moon Temple existed between worlds, half in physical reality, half somewhere else. Moonblessed can walk between, Morrigan explained. You're a living bridge. I just want to be normal. Your birth was prophesied before the first wolves walked. They entered a chamber where moonlight pooled despite the noon Sunday. Mystical symbols covered the walls, the same ones appearing on Lyra's skin like tattoos. Your mother bore these marks before your father murdered her. He said she died in childbirth. She died because he discovered what she was moonblessed. He killed her and used her life force to bind your wolf. Rage flooded Lyra's system. Her markings flared, and suddenly she stood in a memory, her mother shielding infant Lyra from her father's disgust. Strip and enter. Morrigan gestured to a pool of liquid moonlight. We must prepare you. The liquid felt alive, seeping into her bones. Her marks blazed, spreading in intricate patterns. Tell me about Kieran. A Shadow King and a moonblessed prophecies speak of such a pairing. I don't want prophecy. A howl split the air. Kieran's, raw and desperate. Her body responded instantly. Heat flooded her core, pheromones so potent that Morrigan staggered back. Too soon, her grandmother breathed. He's calling to you. More howls echoed. Every unmated alpha within miles had caught her scent. The temple doors exploded. 3 rogue alphas stood there, eyes feral. Run, Morrigan shouted. Get to Kieran. Lyra ran, her marks leaving trails of light. She burst from the temple to find chaos. Kieran's guards fighting waves of maddened alphas. Lyra! She looked up to see Kieran at the tower window. Jump! She screamed. He leaped without hesitation. Her power cushioned his fall, and he landed running. The moment their skin touched, the world exploded. Their powers crashed together, knocking everyone nearby to their knees. The ceremony, Morrigan said, The old ways don't apply to us. Before she could respond, a familiar voice spoke. My daughter, the weapon. Her father stood at the gates with alphas, wearing strange collars. Did you think I'd let you bond? I killed your mother to prevent this. He held a blade reeking of binding magic. Her heat will drive her mad without a mate, and these collars protect my alphas from her thrall. The standoff stretched taut. Lyra burned with supernatural heat while Kieran remained her only anchor. Your powers are already merging, her father Marcus said coldly. Without proper bonding, you'll destroy each other. Hello, mother, Marcus said as Morrigan emerged. Come to watch your granddaughter die? Lyra's power spiked at his cruelty. Several alphas stumbled despite their collars. "There is another way," Ash said, appearing with otherworldly power radiating from him. "The mountain remembers the old ceremonies." "I am the mountain's voice," Ash continued, eyes turning white. The fortress rumbled in agreement. "The trial of bonding. Any alpha who wishes to claim her must face her champion. If he survives until moonrise 1 hour, she may choose freely." "I'll be her champion," Kieran said immediately. "Against 20 alphas?" Marcus laughed. The mountain created a circle of white stone. Ancient rules locked into place. No weapons, no interference. Kieran kissed Lyra fiercely, then entered the ring. The first wave attacked. Kieran moved like liquid shadow, but each use of power drained him. Blood painted the stones within minutes. 30 minutes gone. Kieran bled from dozens of wounds. Lyra's consciousness slipped sideways, into the space between realms. Here, she saw the mountain secretly helping Kieran's subtle shifts to trip opponents. She began to sing not physically but spiritually. Her mother's lullaby became visible silver threads wrapping around the circle itself. The mountain laughed through ash. Clever little moon. 10 minutes remained. Kieran barely stood. That's when Lyra's song reached crescendo, and the spiritual moon appeared in daylight. In that impossible moonlight, Kieran transcended, becoming shadow, light, and wolf unified. The alphas froze in fear. When time ended, Marcus threw his binding blade at Lyra. She caught it barehanded, and it shattered like glass. "Choose," the mountain commanded. "I choose the Shadow King," Lyra said clearly. "And I choose Lyra Moonfire," Kieran replied. As Kieran leaned down for the mating bite, Marcus commanded his collared alphas to attack, but Lyra's heat power exploded outward, shattering their collars. In that chaos, Kieran's teeth found her neck. The bite changed everything. The bite shattered reality. Lyra's consciousness exploded outward, merging with Kieran's. She felt his exhaustion, triumph, overwhelming need, and beneath that, his wolf. Except she didn't have a wolf. She had something else, rising from her soul with cosmic wind. "Everyone out," Morrigan commanded. "The bonding must complete privately." Power poured between them through the bite, transforming. The world tilted as Kieran caught her. "What's happening?" "We are," he growled. They barely made it to his chambers before the second wave hit. This wasn't normal heat, but supernatural hunger. Cells reorganizing to accommodate two souls in perfect opposition. "Wait," he gasped, pulling back. "Once we complete this, you'll never be just Lyra again." "I was never just Lyra. I was a cage pretending to be a girl." When they joined, it was like coming home and being born simultaneously. But something was wrong. Their powers were too opposite, tearing each other apart instead of merging. Then she heard it, her mother's lullaby from within. Without thinking, Lyra sang. Kieran's wolf responded with harmony, turning melody into symphony. Where their voices met, twilight formed the perfect moment between day and night. Their powers stopped fighting and started dancing. When release crashed through them, it remade the world. Windows shattered. The mountain groaned with pleasure, and Lyra's true form emerged, not a wolf but a cosmic creature of moonlight and stardust, with wings of silver fire. A cosmic wolf, the first in 1,000 years. Hours later, Zane knocked urgently. "We have a situation." They found Marcus in the courtyard, performing a dark ritual. He transformed into a void wolf, a 20-foot creature of binding magic that consumed light. "Ready to return to your cage, daughter?" 3 months later, Lyra stood at Moonspire's highest balcony, watching the ceremony below where 3 couples exchanged vows under her Moonfire blessing. "Still thinking about him?" Kieran asked, wrapping his arms around her. "Sometimes." The battle with the Void Wolf had been brutal. Marcus nearly succeeded in caging her again, but Ash had saved them, revealing himself as not just the mountain's voice but its heart. He'd opened the mountain itself, swallowing the Void Wolf into eternal stone imprisonment. "Any regrets?" Kieran asked. "Never." 3 months as his queen, as the first moonblessed in centuries. She'd learned to control her powers, to walk between realms, to bless unions. "The delegates are arriving," Zane announced. "All 7 kingdoms." Today marked something unprecedented acknowledgement of what they'd become. The Shadow King and Moon Queen, balance incarnate. "Let them come," Lyra said. Let them see what a rejected Omega can become. Ash raced in. Aunt Lyra, the stars are singing. What do they say? That new cubs are coming. 2 of them. He pressed his hand to her stomach. Kieran went rigid with joy so fierce it took her breath away. Twins? He whispered. The prophecy, Morrigan said from the doorway. No prophecies. Our children will choose their own paths. Of course, but paths have a way of finding us. A rejected Omega who became a queen. As if in response, Lyra's marks flared. Kieran's shadows danced with them, creating twilight patterns. She'd run to these mountains as a rejected Omega, broken and afraid. She'd found herself in a shadow wolf's eyes. Sometimes rejection was just redirection. The mountain hummed approval. The age of division was ending. Unity had begun. As the triple moons rose, Lyra let her cosmic wolf emerge wings of starfire beside Kieran's shadow form. They howled together, and every wolf in 7 kingdoms answered. Not in submission, in celebration. For the rejected had become revered, the broken had become whole, and love, true, fated, chosen love, had conquered all. Together, forever, under the moon that blessed them both. The end.